What's up, everybody? Yeah, yo, welcome to the Mike Dolce Show. We got a little controversy coming from the Tim Cast. Now, I'm a big fan of Tim Pool and the Tim Cast. Enjoy the show. Lots of good commentary. Tim usually has some pretty good takes. This take, though, not so good. So let's just jump right in here. Let's see what Tim has to say.
Now, I was first thinking like I'd bet on Jake Paul, and I was like, no, I got to bet on Tyson. And I think when you watch the Tyson training videos, then you watch that fight, you're like, I don't believe it. I think that it's possible, very likely, that Tyson was pulling his punches. I really do.
All right. Now, Tim, appreciate the thought and the comments, but with respect, no. Tyson wasn't pulling his punches. Mike Tyson was simply fighting a 27-year-old, highly trained, prime of his life athlete. And a lot of people don't give Jake Paul the respect that he deserves for being 100% dedicated to the sport of professional boxing for at least the last 4 years. Mike Tyson is a 58-year-old former boxing world champion some 20, 30 years ago. Mike Tyson has by far seen the best years of his life. Mike Tyson is now old and rickety. Mike Tyson is likely on a bunch of performance-enhancing drugs, which makes him look the way that he does, a little scary guy walking in the ring. But just 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago, Mike Tyson didn't look that good. Mike Tyson looked like a chubby old man. So you can't expect Mike Tyson to be the young Mike Tyson. Old Mike Tyson is not the young Mike Tyson. And a lot of people, they think because Mike Tyson was once Mike Tyson, he can still do those things. He cannot, especially when he has a 27-year-old, highly trained young man in front of him who's of the same size and actually bigger. Jake Paul's a bigger guy than Mike Tyson. So the thought, and there's a lot of controversy about Mike was pulling his punches. Mike was not trying to knock Jake out. Well, that's bullshit, because the first round, second round, Mike Tyson was trying to knock Jake Paul out, because now I've been in combat sports my whole life, worked with some of the greatest combat athletes in the world, many boxers even. It is very hard to hit a man in front of you. And a lot of people who've never boxed before, never fought before, you don't understand that. It is very hard to hit the person in front of you, especially when they're well trained, and even more, especially when they're actually going to hit you back. Jake Paul was always going to hit Mike Tyson back. Mike Tyson knows that. Mike Tyson at 58 years old knows he cannot absorb any more head trauma, nor should he. So the notion that Mike Tyson was pulling his punches, Mike Tyson would have destroyed Jake Paul had the fight, quote, not been rigged, not been fixed. That's nonsense. Now, there might have been a gentleman's agreement for the both of them to go all 8 rounds, because I haven't seen the contract, and I don't know that it's 100% true, but there's speculation that the contract said the longer Mike fights, the more money he gets paid. The longer Jake fights, the more money he gets paid. Well, there's speculation about that. I haven't seen that. I don't know if it's true or not. Regardless, doesn't matter. I've seen other fight contracts that say the same, and I would be surprised if this fight would have been sanctioned by the Texas State Athletic Commission if that was in the contract, because that would have been disclosed. So I don't think that's legitimate, and I don't know anyone who's actually seen that verbiage in the written signed contracts. The first 2 rounds, Mike Tyson was trying to knock out Jake Paul. Mike Tyson was no longer able to try and knock out Jake Paul by the end of the second round. By the end of the 4th round, Mike Tyson was just trying to survive Jake Paul. Jake Paul, I believe, was pulling his punches. I think Jake Paul was so comfortably winning the fight, and he knew it, that he didn't want to knock out Mike Tyson, because that would have made him even a bigger heel than many people believe him to be. And I think for Jake Paul, the $40 million payday, well, that's the big win. The defeating of Mike Tyson, going 8 rounds with Mike Tyson and winning by decision, I think that's a better win than Jake Paul knocking out a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. So I think strategically, both guys did exactly what they wanted to do. Mike Tyson wanted a payday, and he wanted to go all 8 rounds. And I think morally, Mike Tyson, he knew he wasn't going to knock out Jake Paul after the first round. Second round, he tried a little bit more. Third round, he wasn't even trying anymore. He's like, all right, I'm shot. I'm done. Now, Tim had also said somewhere inside, let me just jump in here and show you a little bit more. I want to be respectful of Tim and his podcast. I'm not, stealing his content. I'll do it very briefly here to try and see if we get his words.
Paul. Here's a perfect example. Tyson deflects the shot off his shoulder, comes up in perfect position to land a counter right hand, but does nothing.
I kind of agree with that. I don't care if he's an old man. Some people are arguing he's just old. He's not as good as he used to be. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going to pretend to know how to box or anything, but you look at some of these and Mike literally throws a punch and then immediately pulls it back. And I'm like, maybe his arm hurt. I mean, look, you can argue that he was throwing it and his shoulder started to hurt. So he just stopped because he couldn't do it because he's old. Fine.
Very uncharacteristic. And my final reason is Tyson biting his glove. The reason he was doing this was to remind himself not to throw punches and let Jake control the pace.
No, that's an old man.
Paul.
Watch this again.
Plain as day and makes no attempt to slip it.
That's silly. You can see the right hand coming, but it's fast. It doesn't mean that you can move fast enough to block or deflect. He may just be an old man, but watch this one.
Next reason is Tyson was definitely pulling his punches. Tyson looked as if he was struggling to hold back and not throw punches at Paul. Here's a perfect example. Tyson deflects the shot off his shoulder, comes up in perfect position to land a counter right hand, but does nothing.
Watch again.
Comes up in perfect position to land a counter right hand. Comes up in perfect position to land a counter right hand.
Look at the distance.
Comes up in perfect position to land a counter right hand.
There's no counter right hand. Look how poor Jake is.
I kind of agree with that.
See, so respect to Tim, but Tim's wrong on this one. Jake Paul, because he's a younger man, a faster man, a good head work or good head movement, good footwork, good angles, good body control. Jake was in and out, in and out, in and out. Jake always stayed at distance. You stay at range. When you're fighting Mike Tyson, you stay at range, right? Mike Tyson has the power to knock people out, but you got to stand there like a punching bag to let him do it because Mike's feet don't work anymore. So the fact that Mike was and then by the time Mike was ready to throw a punch, Jake was gone again. That's just youth versus age. That's just speed. Jake was gone. Jake was out of there. So I'm going to wrap this up here. Tim Pool, love you, buddy, but bad takes on all of this, which is fine. And my political takes might be bad. Tim might be like, man, Dolce doesn't get geopolitical savvy here. Hey, maybe that's possible. But when it comes to combat sports in the fight game, this is my wheelhouse. This is what I do. And this was not rigged. This was not Tyson pulling punches. This was an old man just being too slow. And now let me just think. Picture this. Imagine if you're in a pool up to your shoulders and your opponent is not. That's how it feels. That's how it feels. To Mike Tyson, Mike Tyson's moving around in a body of water because he's older and slower and his reflexes are off. And then Mike is getting hit by Jake, and Jake hits hard. Jake has multiple knockouts of multiple world champions on his legitimate record. Jake hits hard. Everyone who's ever fought Jake says that dude hits hard. Jake hits hard. Jake hit Mike Tyson flush multiple times. Bing. That's Mike's brain. Mike's bell was wrong. You get your bell rung in the first, it's still ringing until you're home in the hotel later on that night. I've had my bell rung many times, too many that I care to remember or even can remember. I will say that messes you up. That's my take. So what do you guys think? What's your take? I want to hear about it. Check the links below. By the way, start the Living Lean 12-week online total body transformation program. Bam, link below. And also, you want to work one-on-one, get in the best shape of your life. I'm accepting applicants right now. Fill out the form. Let's see if we want to work. And until next time, boom.